Okay, this video is about the logistics and command system in this game. This is actually unique and it's complicated. It's the most difficult part of this game, especially getting your head around it. Once you do get it understood, it's quite straightforward, but it's a bit daunting at first. It's based on the idea of depots, that each side has up to 3 depot points that they can actually deploy on the map in any turn. Now, I've deployed a single depot of 3, but I could have 3 depots of 1, or 1 depot of 2 and 1 depot of 1, as long as the amount of depot points doesn't exceed 3. Now, depots can only be placed in certain hexes, like any city you can control, or any hex next to a city you control. They can also be placed on any road or rail hex, or adjacent to any road and rail hex that's within 4 movement points of a friendly unit. Now, depots generate what's called supply points. What you do with that, there's a chart where you look at your depot size and where you're drawing supply from. So let's say we've got our depot here in Chom, and it's a level 3 depot. So you roll on this chart, and depending on the modified dice rolls, the amount of supply points you generate. So say I generated 2 supply points. Once you've done that for all your depots, one thing to remember, a depot must be in supply to actually do this. So you've got to be able to actually trace a supply line back to one of these supply point sources on the actual table here. You then you spend supply points to generate initiative. So initiative is used to determine who goes first in the operations phase, gives you an advantage. So in this particular stage, I'm going to spend 2 supply points, and I'm going to give myself an initiative of 2. I'm going to assume the UN's, the North Vietnamese have only got initiative of 1. Okay. Now, depending on how many supply points a depot actually spent, it determines its commitment level. So a commitment level of 2 gives me accelerated commitment. Now, the commitment is important because it's used to increase your combat odds or decrease them, depending on how much supply you've spent. Once you've worked out your initiative level for the turn, you then roll on your initiative table, and that gives you your number of operations depending on the modified dice roll. So I actually generate, say, 3 operations from this particular chart, and the operation points can be expended to do the following: activation, amalgamation, reorganization, amphibious assault, amphibious evacuation, paradrop, Chinese or Soviet placement, activation, or pass. Now, for example, let's just say I decided to activate a combat unit. I'd then have a look at what I can do with my activation. So each operation generates 3 action points on the action track. So here I've got 3 operations, and each one will generate 3 actions. So I'll then see what actions I want to do. So if I wanted to do tactical movement, I could spend 1 action point and I generate 4 movement points. Okay, so then I can sort of look at different types and get normal attack, intensive attacks, all that attacks, depending on how many action points I actually spend. So when it comes down to it, it's a combination of what level of attack you make gives you die rolls to your combat roll. What your commitment level of your depot is, what the command range is. So the closer you are to your depot, the better. So your command range are here. Primary is 0 to 12 movement points, secondary is 13 to 25 movement points, extended is 26 or more movement points. So all these cross-reference onto this table, and you can get multipliers on your actual attack rate. So if I was attacking a unit with a unit which is in primary command range of a depot, I've got an offensive committed marker, I would get double my attack value. And at the same time, if I can use 3 action points to do an intensive attack, I would get +2 to my combat die roll. Now, I've mentioned this is complicated and it's totally unique. You just get used to it. It's an elegant system once you get used to it.